And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking time of your day to join us. We really do appreciate it. We've got kind of a mixed bag going on today. Things, in this online marketing world sometimes don't always work out the way you want it to go. And we've had one of those hiccups today. Unfortunately, it looks like our guest speaker is not going to be able to make it today, but that's okay. Things happen. We hope that she's okay, and so we haven't been able to get hold of her. But I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding or something. It's just emergencies come up, and that happens in this industry. So even though we've had this hour scheduled for our special guest, we've actually got a very interesting topic we're going to be talking about today. And before we get into the daily and the weekly activities of our fellow panel members, I just want to tell you what we're going to be talking about. So one of the biggest frustrations we have in this industry is not being able to get hold of certain people, or should I say, get hold of successful marketers in this industry. And we want to talk about that frustration and tell you why people don't respond back to you. But before we get into that today, I want to introduce our panel members. We're going to start off with Katie Stage, ladies first. We're going to be doing this the proper way and stuffs. So, Miss Katie Stage, how are things going with you?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dave. And let me just sip my tea. Yes, it is tea, not wine. I'll prove that. I don't think wine would come into a tea bag. I should actually start that business. Wouldn't that be a great business? Wine bags. I don't even know if that would work. But okay, back to you in the studio.
Wine bags. Okay. Well, we're not called entrepreneurs for nothing. We'll look into something. Man, I saw the craziest thing today. I could not believe what I was watching. You know how when people just try anything? I saw a guy, he wanted to see how far he could take his Beamer, his BMW, with 2 liters of Coke in the gas tank. Are you kidding me? And he pours 2 liters of Coke in this gas tank, and he says, let's try and see if we can find an alternative form of fuel. So he starts driving this car around, and after about a minute, he starts noticing something very strange that's going on in the car, and they just stored like maybe a mile ahead because they had a bit of gas in the actual tank, but they waited until it was empty. It was the craziest thing. I couldn't believe it. But you know what? You never know until you try, and sometimes you got to do the craziest thing to see what's going on. So that's just, we're entrepreneurs, and that's what we do. We try and look for ways to make some extra cash. So with that being said, let's go to our next panel member, and that is Pops. Pops, I believe that you are in close proximity to Katie Stage. How is it going? Right,
giggling in the background.
Can you see her? And are things all right? Wink to us if you need help.
Ooh, 2-hand wave, 2-hand. Yeah, she's very close. Actually, she could reach out and probably belt me one if she really needed to. She is actually right there. Oh, she's hiding behind her computer. Wow, that's not fair. Yeah, that's pretty close. And we were just talking about that before we got going, that when I need to mute and Katie is waving, I'm so focused on my laptop that I don't see anything in my peripheral vision, whereas she's facing me. So if I want to say something, all I got to do is look at her and she'll get it. So So I need to be more diligent about that. We are in northern Minnesota, in Babbitt, Minnesota, where my son lives. We have been here for 5 days, and we'll likely be here for possibly another week or a little longer. It all depends on what's going on. If we want to take off, we will, but there's things we want to do here yet. And it's a beautiful day today. The weather seemed to have followed us from Denver, not Denver, I'm sorry, Colorado, where we were at my oldest granddaughter's graduation. We came here for my oldest grandson's graduation. And they're all getting older. That's good. Keep going and get productive. Hopefully they're all in alignment with their dreams and their goals and will pursue them. That would be awesome. And I think that's about all I have to offer at the moment. We'll be talking later. Dave, are you all right? You look like you might be high on some vape.
I'm okay. I'm all right. Sorry, I'm just busy trying to syndicate this. Trying to just message some people here.
Well,
yes,
then,
I'm okay.
You go ahead. You go ahead, and Jamie, you can take over. Dave can keep doing his thing.
I was laughing so hard because I thought Dave said, when he said Beamer, I thought he said Beaver, and the guy was putting 2 liters of Coke in the gas tank of the Beaver. Like, how the hell is he getting 2 liters of Coke in the gas tank of a Beaver? But anyway, I had a pretty good weekend, working on the house, kept up with my Twitter stuff. I'm almost at 2K followers on my Twitter, so that's going pretty good. I'm not really worried if I'm getting leads right now or not. It'll come. I haven't even checked in my MSP back office. I know I'm getting a lot of impressions and stuff like that. I know I'm getting a lot of following on my tweets and stuff. That's the name of the game, is build it. You build it, and build relationships. I'm having conversations with people on Twitter, and that's the main object of the game, is having conversations with people. There's a lot of people I'm discovering out there that don't have a community, don't have a mentor, so I'm kind of just having a conversation with them, getting to feel them out and find out where they're going and stuff like that, and what their needs, solving their problems. So I'm real happy with it. It's working pretty good. Dave's all froze up. He's sucking on his thing, frozen there, so good thing I'm talking, because he'll come back in a minute.
He is frozen.
Yeah. He'll come back in a minute and wonder where he left off at. But today I had an interesting day. About 2:30 this afternoon, my computer been acting really funny. It's been acting funny for about 2 weeks now. I keep getting a network frame error. And then I had Shamela email me too, needing help on her computer because she got a virus, and I'm at work and I'm dealing with my computer. And so I got back to her when I got home. But what happened is I threw in a disk to run a reset on my computer, a Windows 10 disk to run a reset on my computer. And it run up to about 5% that said, cannot reset your computer. Windows encountered a problem. Nothing was changed on your computer. I'm like, all right. So I pull out the disk and reboot it. And then when it boots back up, it says no operating system found. I'm like, oh my God. I've got 2 design softwares. I've got GIS software. I've got all kinds of databases and stuff on this computer. Good thing I have a server that's all backed up too. So I had that disk wouldn't work for some reason. So I pulled, luckily I carry Windows 10 boot flash drive in my pocket. So I stuck it in there, rebooted it, reformatted my hard drive. It took me about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes to reinstall about 10 pieces of software on my computer and get my computer operational again. So it was a good day. So hopefully I sent Shamela an email when I got back to get rid of her virus from software. So hopefully she got that and that can take care of it. If it don't, I'll have to work out a time when I can remote into her computer and remove the virus for her. But that's my week and my day kind of in a nutshell. So.
Cool. And I think I got half of the end of at the end of half of that conversation. Can you hear me? Am I there?
Yes, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. You were froze like this, Dave.
Yeah. Wow. I gotta say, I'm also with Jamie on there. I got myself a little. Here it is, actually. See, Jamie, you got that. I got this as well. That little stick there to boot up for Windows, and I have problems as well. a very handy device to have. But yes, that's very frustrating when you have to reinstall everything from scratch. Unfortunately, even if you have the skill set, it takes a bit of time to do it. But supposedly my line has been fixed, even though I just dropped again. So I'm still waiting for the upgrade, although I'm not reporting the fault now, because if I report the fault now, they won't upgrade my line at all, and I'll have to wait another week for that to happen. So I'm waiting for the upgrade, then I'll report the fault. So that is what's going on here. So, you know, I mentioned what we're going to be talking about today, and that is just to start off with a tiny bit of a story to let you know. I haven't told many people this part of my story, but it was an incredibly frustrating, maybe isn't the word, because I didn't let it get to me that much, but it was definitely part of my growth trying to get a business started online. So I used to follow a marketer years ago by the name of Steve, and for the life of me, his last name eludes me. I cannot remember what his name is, but his last name, but his name was Steve, and he was an internet marketer. And I was so intrigued by this guy because he put out such great content, but every time I tried to email him, I would get crickets. He wouldn't respond to me. I would email him. I wouldn't just email him on the email address that he put at the bottom of his website. I would find every single way that I could communicate with him, and I would never get a response. He wouldn't respond back to me. And I suppose there are two ways of looking at that. One is you think, oh, gee, well, he's obviously too big for his britches. You know, he's too much of a success to even talk to the little guy. So, you know, stuff him, and I don't want to talk to this guy ever again. Oh, yes, Steve Nam. That was his name. Steve Nam. That was the guy I looked up online. I don't know if he's online anymore, but that was his name, Steve Nam. Anyway, even though I wrote to him, I also wrote to Jeff Walker. And a lot of you guys know that Jeff Walker is a huge influence in my marketing endeavors. He was a guy I really did look up to. One of the very first stories I ever heard online about a guy who wanted to make it in this industry, and I wrote to him as well. I never got any response. My initial thought back then, because this was 11 years ago, my initial thought back then was, well, I don't suppose he will get back to me because he's too much of a megastar. People really listen to what he has to say. Why should he listen to me? And so I wanted to ask maybe somebody in the comment section if they've had a similar experience writing to somebody of influence, and if they get a response from that person. And also maybe some of the panelists, perhaps Jamie or Katie, if you've had similar experiences.
Yeah, I had the same thing happen with what the hell is his name now? He's big in the market space too, and actually, I think he came out of MLSP years ago. God, I'd have to look it up. But anyway, what happened with me is I didn't get any response until I decided to buy, what the hell was that course I bought?
Is it Frank Kern?
Yeah, Frank Kern. Thank you. It was Frank Kern, and I decided to buy one of his courses. And then he was very open to answering some questions for me. Prior to that, there was nothing. I'd be asking him questions. And this is when he still had long hair. You know, this has been a while ago too, before he got proper and to be a big businessman, although he was worth a ton of money.
Funny.
Ton of money then too. Yeah, he was very funny. And so yeah, it did happen to me, and I guess I can kind of get it, only because I think these big guys are waiting for someone to become serious enough to buy, and then they know that you're willing to listen, hopefully at any rate. At least you have one of their products. They're either obligated or they now feel that you are really taking it serious and you want to move forward, and then they're willing to spend the time. That's how I felt about it. So I didn't take offense either, because they must have thousands of people trying to get a hold of them anyway. So I could have got lost in the shuffle. I don't know what the deal was until I bought. Then, of course, then I'm up front and personal with them then.
Yeah, man, I remember Frank Kern. Frank Kern back in the day. My goodness, yeah, he has changed. He's gone through a lot of problems as well. He was shut down by the FTC for his, because he had something going that they viewed as a scam, and so he had some issues in his business. But he's doing well today because he just never gives up, and that's one of the greatest attributes of an entrepreneur, is that they just never give up trying to find new ways. But man, I can totally get that as well. Jamie, maybe, or Katie, any of you had a similar experience trying to get hold of somebody that wouldn't respond?
Yeah, I mean, the first company, I emailed the owner and kind of crickets, never heard nothing back. And the second company, the two owners, they were accessible, but they weren't accessible. But it had a forum built into the platform, so kind of like MLSP has a community that they all chat in and everything. This company had a forum that everybody chatted in, and the more active I was in the forum, the company owners would start interacting on my posts and stuff like that, and then they get to a point where they tell me to email them directly, or message them directly, so I can message them in the forum and get answers and stuff. The last company I was in, the third company, not so much. I emailed my sponsor 2 or 3 times, and it's like Katie says all the time, he kind of just left me out on an island. But when I come into MLSP and stuff, and I started buying products and stuff, we had Diane Hockman on the show, and she knows that I bought 2 or 3 of her courses, and she told me that night, if you have any problems, email me directly, so and I'm on her newsletter, and I get her emails and stuff all the time, and I respond back occasionally, and it's kind of cool when you respond back to her and she responds back to you. I wrote a big long email back to her, and her only response back to me was, "I like you." And that's cool, to have somebody like that to respond back to you on an email. So I've had it go both ways. So
yeah, it's Katie, have you had, I'm sure Katie's got something, because I know Katie's got a good story on this one.
Yeah, I kind of got something to say here, and everybody knows part of my story with sponsor. I tried to reach out to him, but he didn't reach it back. He ditched me twice. We set up a phone call twice, and he ditched me twice, and I get it, though. I get it. If you already hear about all what Dave and Jamie and Pop says, is that they don't pay attention to you until you buy something, or they don't pay attention until you're into the community, and you're going to prove yourself that you're going to stick around and be a part of it. Because here's something that I actually wrote a couple of days ago, if you don't mind me reading. I'm actually going to, is it okay to share my screen? Actually, it's a post that I shared a couple of days ago. Oh, hi, Dave. Oh, hold on. Okay, so when I first noticed gaining traction in my business, I caught myself wanting to prove how much I actually knew by giving people a lot of my time and knowledge for free. As I gained confidence in both my mentoring abilities and my business of womening abilities, totally a word, the automatic diarrhea of the mouth slowly but surely started to dry up. What woke me up is when I tracked the time I was spending with those who were not investing in my services, stupid I know, only to discover that putting too much time in the people who might not come back, which in reality they do, but they just want more free info and try to drill stuff out of you. All this was doing was keeping me poor, as in broke. So lesson learned, my time was valuable. Your time is valuable. You don't need to promise anyone the world or to gain approval to assure that you do indeed know your shit. Yes, I do swear. I don't apologize, actually. It's just who I am. The information on the need to know is a rule enough. As you know, how I know this is because people buy from me and they want to know more, and don't assume that everyone needs to know more from you if the proof is in the ROI says that they don't. So basically what that is that I understand why people, they don't want to put a lot of time into giving you information. In this industry, it is you have to think of it as a win-win situation, where you can't just go to somebody and just keep asking and keep asking and keep asking and trying to take and trying to take. But there has to be, when you try to approach somebody, it has to be like a give also, because what you're doing is that you're having this conversation with somebody who doesn't want to give a lot of their free time. One, they don't really know you that well. Two, there's a lot of people knocking on their doors, sending their messages. Okay, not knocking on their door, you know what I mean? Not like Dave, people are always knocking on his door and saying, hey, you're that internet guy from South Africa. But, you know, you get people all the time. And once you start growing and starting putting information out there, you're going to realize that. And then a lot of people are going to message you. They want to get your not only your tips, but they want to get your opinions on a lot of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff that you have to focus more on, the people who are investing in you already, who want to buy your products or grow with your team and all that stuff. So I just wanted to say that when you approach somebody, like Dave was doing that, we talked about this before we went live on a Hangout, we're getting a few leaders in the industry that want to be a guest on our show. So what we do is that in this special thing that we got going on here, it's specially coded for those who are in the marketing system that we're using. So it's a win-win situation where they can promote it. People can, other people can promote it on our guest team. So that if anybody decides to buy, then they get the credit for it, not just us. So it's a win-win situation here. So when you're approaching people, just don't try to take all the time, but try to reason with them. Like, hey, you know what? I don't know exactly what the reasoning is, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? Does that help?
Absolutely. And
Cool.
I want to just talk a little bit about the mindset of somebody who's trying to reach out for some help, and how you possibly are thinking of it in terms of or the way that you should not be thinking about it. Because this was definitely something that was riding in my mind as I was trying to find somebody who would mentor me. And I do remember emailing somebody and explaining this concept as if it was the newest thing out there and nobody had ever heard this type of reasoning before. Okay, so I do remember asking or writing and saying, you know what, I know that you charge a certain amount of money for your product, but here's my situation. I don't have a lot of money, and you tell me that I can make money online if I just follow your easy steps. I've got an idea. This is original. Why don't you just give me the stuff for free? And if it works and I start making money, then I will send you money via PayPal, and I will pay you back all the money that I've made from your course. Now, that is typically what, believe it or not, most people think. They think that for some reason, if somebody gives them free information, that they will all of a sudden have the willpower, have the consistency, have all of the resources so that they can just flick a couple of switches and become successful. And I want to tell you here today that that is a very, very, and I say immature because I can't think of any other word, but that isn't the way that you should be looking at trying to start a business online. If you want to start a business online, we tell you that you need to have consistency. You need to follow somebody who knows what they're doing. You need to absolutely get the training. But here's the craziest thing, and we've said this before, that even if I were to ship you a direct copy of my entire PC, which is behind my monitor, looking quite grand, I must say. It's really quite big. It's got a lot of stuff in there. But if I were to ship you an entire copy of my PC with all the information in it, with all the courses, and I said, here is my PC, I want you to take it and I want you to carry on the business, without a doubt, I know that it would not work for you. Because running a business is more than just having the information. It's about something inside of you that never, ever stops. And I want to tell you guys a little story, a true story of my buddy Bruno, who has spastic cerebral palsy. Now, because Bruno doesn't get around much, he really battles to walk. He was involved in a car accident when he was 2 years old, and he's been through numerous operations, which has made his life very difficult. So for Bruno to actually to do something, even a task as simple as going to shower or going to the toilet or anything like that, is incredibly difficult for him. He runs out of breath in about 5 steps. And it's really, really a battle for him. But one of the things that he does to keep himself active is he loves World War II. He loves World War II and the Great War and all of those war movies. He loves that type of thing. And he found a game online. It's a World War II game, and it's kind of like, if you've ever been involved with something like World of Warcraft. This is kind of similar, but it's a live game where you can communicate with a lot of veterans who are part of the game, and you fight in a World War II type situation. And you can buy war bonds, you got your little troops, and it's really about you progressing in this war that's online, and it just carries on forever. It's just one of those games that are quite exciting, people get involved in. Now, here's the interesting thing about Bruno. Bruno spends nearly nothing on this game. He might spend like $5 every few months to get something he really likes, but he doesn't spend anything on this game. All he does is he follows the rules. So he gets his troops, he trains his troops, which involves a lot of time, and he constantly builds and gets experience for his guys online. And as a result, if somebody tries to fight him, he beats them. Now, here's the interesting thing about what he does. There are guys that spend thousands of dollars on this game trying to cheat the system by buying more war bonds and getting a lot more equipment. And they go up against Bruno and they just get eviscerated. They get eviscerated. And they can't understand how this guy who's not spending any money, or not spending a lot of money on his troops, just absolutely annihilates people. And it comes down to the fact that he's taken the time to work his troops, to put in the effort to help to get his troops so that they will start practicing to fight and everything. And as a result, he has a lot more power than people just throwing money at the problem. And this is what happens. It's very similar in the online marketing industry. A lot of people think that if they just had all of the training, if they just had all of the resources, if they just had all of the stuff that us people use, that they would be successful. And it is an unfortunate state of events when you think like that in the beginning. Because ultimately, I was just contacted by somebody today saying, "Hey, Dave, you make money online, contact me, here's my Skype address, blah, blah, blah." He was very abrupt and a little rude, I thought. I don't think he was trying to be rude. Maybe it was his age, but he was like, "Oh man, I want to know if you're serious about making money online. Just here's my Skype address, give me a call, we'll talk it out, blah, blah, blah." And I just said, "Hey man, I'm not going to call you. I'm not." And the reason I don't call is not because I don't think I can help somebody. It's because in the past, I have done that. I have done that. I've actually had conversations with people when they say, I'm interested in wanting to learn how to run a business online. And every single time this happens, I call them, we have a conversation, and we talk for about 45 minutes, sometimes over that. And sometimes I'll tell them exactly what to do. Do you think I hear from them again? Do you think I hear from these people again? The answer is no, 100% of the time. I'll tell you who I do hear back from people again. These are the people that are listening to what I have to say, that have been following me for a while, that have actually invested in training and who need a little bit of guidance. Those are the ones that actually succeed. The ones that actually succeed are the ones that I've had very little interaction with, because you cannot for any moment think that your success is dependent on your mentor. Your success is not dependent on your the people that you speak to. It's not dependent on the system that you're using. It's not even dependent on the training that you get, because you can have a whole bunch of training that's great, but you don't do anything with it. The only thing that you can 100% count on is yourself. Maybe somebody on the panel that has similar experience, somebody where they've given all of the training or all of the guidance that they have needed, but nobody has taken action. I know Katie's got a story like that. Maybe she wants to share. You can leave out names for the protection of these people, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh. Now you just put me on the spot, because I was totally going to call out your name, Dave. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm going to put myself out on the line there, and I'm a perfect example, because there is a time where Dave was telling our group about, okay, we're full-time RVers, Dad and I, Pops and I, and he was telling us about how we should make a video on how to make money online while RVing. I still haven't done it yet. I told Pops just a couple of days ago, he can contest to that, and I still haven't done it yet. Isn't that funny? So I'm a perfect example of sometimes I mess up too. Okay, but I still continue to work on my business and every single day. But I'm not like, I'm more focused now than I was about a year ago, or even more focused last year than I was 2 years ago. So what I'm saying is that every year I learn new things, and I test the market, and I test different things, and it's all a growth thing. And I'm just trying to fit myself into the perfect spot where I need to be. And I feel like I'm pretty much there. But as far as Dave telling me that I should make this video, and I haven't done it yet, and I should do it. So how's that for a perfect example, Dave? I dropped names just like that.
No, that's cool. It's interesting. Look, we all grow in our own speed, and it's not like Katie's in this huge, massive, desperate situation where she needs to get something done. And we forget about certain things and we come back to it later. I mean, I just discussed something with Katie the other day. So, you know what? I haven't done this in a long time, and I was going through some more training, and maybe I should do that again, or maybe I should revisit that part and just go ahead and do it. But the truth is that my original mentor, the guy that actually believed in me, Ryan Maynard, he never actually spent that much time with me. He never actually spent a lot of time training me. It's not like I think he had one tiny small session which lasted about 5 minutes on how to rank something on YouTube. But every other strategy that I learned was as a result of Ryan saying, this is what you need to do that course. This is what you need to do that course. And I had gotten over this hump of blaming everybody around me, and blaming finances, and blaming my circumstances, and blaming other people for my failures. I had gotten over that and realized, you know what, if I don't do something now, things are not going to work out. And that is the fundamental truth. It may be a simple concept, but ultimately, you know, I just got angry. I just got angry enough. I got angry enough to the point where I said, you know what the hell with this? I'm sorry, I can't keep trying to find the free way of making money online. And I said, Ryan is successful. He knows what he's doing. I'm just going to follow what he does. And so I said, Ryan, what is it you do? He says, sign up for this. So I sign up for that. So what else you do? He said, buy that training. So I buy that training. What else you do? I buy that training. So I buy that training. And I decided to follow in his footsteps. And I did exactly what he told me to do. And as a result of me just being relentless and never giving up and having a completely stubborn look on life, in the sense that I wasn't going to give up until I actually succeeded, that's the reason I've made it. That's the reason I'm financially independent. That's the reason I don't work for anybody anymore, is because I followed somebody else who was successful. And I don't blame Steve Nam for not getting back to me. I don't blame Jeff Walker for not getting back to me. I don't blame King Human for not getting back to me. I don't blame Ray Higdon for not getting back to me. I don't blame anybody for not getting back to me. The truth of the matter is that I just kept on going until somebody kind of just gave me a little bit of glimmer, gave me a little bit of hope. And even in that small moment of Ryan saying, so Dave, what is it you want to do? And I'm responding, because I've got no problem with somebody messaging me and saying, Dave, I really want to become successful. What do I need to do? I don't mind telling people what to do. I really don't. I really do have a problem with small chit chat that ends up nowhere. You really have to prove yourself. You have to prove yourself. It's just one of those things. And unfortunately, this works in the real world as well. I mean, Pops can attest to this. Pops, if you want to survive in the real world, working in a real job, you need to prove yourself. Otherwise, what happens, Pops, if you don't prove yourself?
Well, they'll replace you if you don't
Exactly.
do what's required, and they'll just replace you. And the opposite is true. If you do what's required and then learn more and do more than what's required, they'll promote you. They'll give you raises beyond the people that don't do the work or just do the minimum of what they have to do. Typically, they'll have an attitude, and you get in there excited about the job. You get in there excited about what you're doing, believe in what you're doing, believe in the company. And man, the sky's the limit. Actually, beyond that, my oldest grandson had a little saying on with his picture when he graduated. So if the sky's the limit, how come there's footprints on the moon? That was an awesome saying.
That is
Nice.
really good.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And it really is. I was just listening again to the whole process of how Brian Finelli became to the point where he said he wanted to earn $1 million. And he set a goal that within 3 years he was going to get there. And 7 months before he reached his goal, he hasn't even gotten close. He hadn't even gotten close. But 7 months later, he managed to get there. And it wasn't because of some woo-woo magic weird thing that he did. He just was determined to make it happen. He was so determined that his determination became his reality. And, that's just a huge part of what we do is we visualize, we set goals, we make it part of our affirmations, our prayer, whatever it is that you do. We make it part of who we are, and we accomplish what we need to do, even if it brings us to tears. And I will say this, that when I made my first commission online, I broke down in tears. I cried my little eyes out. I bawled like a baby, like a little girl. I cried and cried because I had put so much work into this. It finally started to make sense, and it finally started to happen. And then when it did start to happen, that's when I doubled down on my double down. That's when I really, really went a little bit crazy. I started going and doing things that people wouldn't even imagine was possible. But that's what you do when you become so determined. Is anybody else that wants to say something? Maybe Jamie. And thank you, Bob. I just want to say thank you to Bob, Uncle Bob, for commenting in the comments. We appreciate you, brother, and we're glad that you're back and joining us again.
Sure, I'll jump in. You guys seen I took a phone call. I was on the phone. You know, my guy that does all the traffic counts, he's, you know, my right hand, because he knows as much about doing our traffic counts as I do, and he's having problems logging into the software we use. We use Esri. Did I say that right? Esri or Esri, you know, ArcGIS is what we use, and we use ArcGIS collector. So we collect data with our phones, with tablets and stuff out in the field for traffic and stuff. And he was having problems logging into software. I said, I'm trying to walk him through it over the phone. He's like, well, I need this web address. I said, no, put your fat finger right underneath where the web address is and push the button. Oh, okay, that's how you log into it. I'm like, yeah. You know, he was telling me that actually they're down in southern Illinois, and I was talking about Pops on this the other night. They're in an area where the average ADT is 48,000 cars a day. You know, so he said they almost got run over twice because people don't pay attention, because they got this great big white van. They call it the candy van. It's got flashing lights going on all over the place. It's white and orange. You cannot miss it. And he said they had 3 or 4 cars almost rear-end them. But, you know, if I hadn't gone through all this training for all this software, I wouldn't know how to walk him through, you know. And, you know, I caught some of the conversation when I was trying to talk to Mick at the same time. And, you know, we're talking about training, you know, investing in yourself is the most important thing. And you'll hear Brian Finale say it. You'll hear a lot of the big leaders say it. You should invest in yourself more than you invest in your business, because you need fresh content. You need fresh stuff to talk about. You need fresh stuff to blog about. You need fresh stuff to tweet about. You know, you have to be knowledgeable and stuff like that. You know, I've invested in the last 6 or 8 months into myself and haven't been doing as much marketing. I just invest in myself, you know. And Pop's come up with this idea last week that him and I need to coach each other. And I'm like, wow, that's a fantastic idea. He's doing coaching. I'm doing coaching. Why not coach each other? You know, so Pops would never ask me that if I wasn't investing in myself, and he's seen the knowledge I was putting out in the marketplace and around the people in the workshop that I'm with and stuff like that. You know, people attract people that they know, like, and trust. You know, and Pops knows me. You know, he likes me. I think he trusts me. But but I think that's, you know, one of the best things we can do. You know, then maybe we can coach some people in the workshop together, you know, and tag team them. You know, people always need help. That's one thing. That's why I kind of got into coaching and invested so much into myself in the last 8 months, is because people always need help. There's always somebody out there that needs a mentor, needs community, needs some kind of coaching, whether it's to get over the hump or get through a mental block or whatever it is. But invest in yourself is what I'm going to say to you, because it's very important.
And, you know, speaking of investing in yourself, Jamie, the skill sets that we learn are really the keys to our success. Skill set is the main thing. You know, I was involved with a conversation yesterday with a friend of mine who we've been chatting for a couple of years, and this person doesn't really want to take the plunge, or I don't think understands what really needs to happen. I keep telling him the same thing, that he needs to follow some training where he can develop some skills so that he can learn how to sell stuff online. So I said to him, so what seems to be the problem? What would you like to do? And he says, I want an ironclad system that's 100% guaranteed. And I said, dude, you can't find that. That doesn't exist. There is no system that's going to give you 100% ironclad guarantee on anything. Because here's the reality, right? If you have the skill set, you can promote a legitimate product, you can promote a scam. You can make money in both areas if you have skill set. And that's why people that have a lot of good skill sets to promote and sell anything can get themselves in a lot of trouble because they can promote anything. But no system in and of itself is a guarantee that you will be successful, because it just comes back to you and what skill sets you are learning. And yes, maybe it's taking you a bit of time, but the truth is that you're building on what you know. You know, you may have a skill of writing emails, and then the next skill you learn is you may have a skill of making videos, and then the next skill is you may develop a skill on ranking videos, and then the next skill might be you may have a skill about writing blog posts, and then the next skill is you may have a skill of buying the right traffic, or writing properly for SEO so that you can be found on Google. Skill sets add up one after another. And that's why over the course of my 2-year period, where I went from being somebody who was dependent on a job to being financially independent, that 2-year period, I developed a skill set where I could take just about anything online and promote it. And this has actually happened to me. We've been involved. One of my very first businesses kind of went downhill, and that was plateaued out. So I just moved on to something else. And that went well for a bit because of the skill set I developed. And then it kind of plateaued out and went down again. And then I got involved with something else. And I just built from there. And that the only reason I was able to do that was because I had a skill set. It had nothing to do with the fact that I was using a legitimate system. It was if I was developing a skill set or not. And this is why we teach things like attraction marketing. We teach things like, having a conversation with people. We teach things like do not pitch, do not pitch. Do not sit there and become a car salesman, because everybody's heard that stuff before. You know, we don't say go online and say, hey, I'm looking for like-minded people, because everybody rolls their eyes at that like a cat being scratched at the back of its head. It really has no effect anymore. But if you can engage in a conversation and be real with people, it will take you a lot further. And so, that's really what it comes down to. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that at all.
Yeah, what this all boils down to is if you don't invest in yourself and learn the skill sets and practice them, that's even more important than learning them. You need to practice them, contact people, get out in social media and start producing stuff. You risk the liability of your business outgrowing you. And if that happens, that's when you go down. You have to stay ahead of the business growth, because there's going to be business growth when you start learning to do stuff and you put it out in social media and contacting, talking to people, building relationships. It's going to grow, and you need to stay ahead of the curve. And the more you put out, the more results you're going to get. And that's basically what the message is here. And when you start producing, other people are going to notice. The people that are more successful than you at the time are going to start noticing you in whatever business that you're in. And they'll actually take you under their wing, because they look for people to help if the people are willing to produce. And it just kind of works that way, because as they say, it's lonely at the top. They want people up there with them. There's a whole bunch of people at the bottom. Nobody needs you down there, although some may try to drag you down. Don't let people hold you back, because there are those too. Just start producing, build the skill sets, put it out there, talk to people, build relationships, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Learn your products. No, it's a lot of work, but it's pretty simple.
That, thank you, Bob. And that's why he's our wisdom keeper, guys. That's why he's our wisdom keeper. We always defer to Pops when we have an issue and we're struggling with some form of communication, because he's lived longer than most of us. And that's not an insult, Pops. We really value your wisdom.
No.
You know, so
if you saw it, if you saw I live longer than all of you put together, then I'd have to take offense to that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Guys, before we go, we know it's reaching at the top of the hour. I just want to let everybody here know that in 2 weeks' time, we are going to have April Marie Tucker on this hangout. April Marie Tucker. If you don't know who April Marie Tucker is, get out from the rock that you're living under, because you really want to get involved in this. This will be in 2 weeks' time on the 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're all very excited about it. I am super jacked about it. I just confirmed it today. She's put me in her calendar. I'm in April Marie's calendar. It's amazing. So, you know, we're going to have her on, and it's just going to be an amazing time. What I want to ask her is how she got started in this industry, because she used to work in Vegas, you know, as a waitress, raising 3 kids. And, you know, something I feel that a lot of people can relate to. Not that you work in Vegas, but you understand working a job that you just absolutely detest. And she's going to be speaking to that. And I feel that we're gonna be able to learn and grab a lot of nuggets from that conversation. So put it in your diary. Make sure that you get here on the 18th on Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Very, very important. I also want to tell you that we have a number of hangouts throughout the week. We have Maria and Sonia's hangouts, which is at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And but you know, Sonia isn't feeling too well, so Maria is running that for her. We are all wishing that Sonia does well. She's got viral meningitis again for the 5th time, so if you can keep her in your prayers, that'd be much appreciated. We also have Jamie's hangout, which is on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is a huge amount of fun if you can get there as well, with Wonder Wit. And then, of course, on Tuesday, after Sonia and Maria, we have Katie, Sage, and Pops, which is at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then straight after Pops and Katie, there is Rocket Rick, which is always entertaining to watch, because Ricky is one of the most entertaining people that I've seen online. He really is quite entertaining, isn't he? I love that guy. And then, of course, Wisdom Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You want to be a part of that as well. But I also want to say that we actually have somebody in our or in my team. His name is Joe McKenzie. Joe McKenzie is in this online game, and Joe McKenzie, he's a veteran. He's been in the marketing industry for a long time, so he knows business. And Joe McKenzie now is getting online to expand his reach. And it's his birthday today. And what's remarkable about Joe is that Joe is 80. He's 80 today. All right? 80. And he's got one of the sharpest minds I've ever known. He's sharper than a lot of 20-year-olds that I know. He is really sharp as a tack. And, you know, Joe's been a huge inspiration to me. He was one of the very first to ever believe in me when I first got started, because he was one of the guys that I used to help as well back in the day. And he saw that struggle I had as well. So, Joe, if you're watching, I just want to wish you a happy 80th birthday. We all, and you know, if you think you're too old to get involved in this industry, you just look to Joe and say, hey, you know, if Joe can do it, anybody can. So, anybody else want to say anything?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Pa. You said enough. I mean, seriously, we can't handle all that wisdom. Anyway, so brains are gonna explode. So I just wanted to kind of bring it to a full circle, that when you get out there and you get out in the marketplace, just keep in mind that you're solving a problem, because people are out there typing what their problem is, and your goal is to get in front of them. Because ultimately, why are you doing this in the first place? Figure out, why did you sign up? Why did you start this thing? Why, like, what is your goal? Is it your goal to make enough money to donate to your favorite charities, or just make an extra side income. Just, you know, to build a missionary like Dave does, you know, and just quit your 9 to 5 or go travel full time. I don't know what your goals are, but always remember what they are, because there's things that you need to do in order to reach those goals and to get the money, because how you get money is from people, and you have to figure out how much money will they be paying in order for you to solve their problem, you know, and what is their problem. You have to really, really write that down and figure that out, and ask those hard questions and figure that out. Because it took me a long time to figure that out. And it took me even longer, I feel, because I didn't have that mentor. I didn't have the community like we have here. And for over a year, maybe right around year 2, no, it was probably after I met Dave, actually. Either I'm that dense or that thick or something, or I just didn't quite get it because no one was there to show me, because I was by myself for over 2 years before I met Dave, that I realized that the niche that I'm supposed to be looking for is me. So write down your story, you know, figure out what are the struggles that you're having, what are the battles and challenges that you're going through right now, and get those answers and put it out there in the marketplace as the solution. And don't just give it to you willy-nilly for free or whatever. You know, obviously you get their email address, and then the solution could funnel them through, you know, and don't just like, you know, leave them hanging like, okay, here it is. But that's another mistake that I made, is that I didn't follow through with them and say, hey, now that you got this figured out, here, let's take this next step. And that's how you get them into this thing. Yeah, anyways, back to you.
Oh, there we go. I was muted. Jamie, you wanted to say any last words before we go? And you know, before Jamie says anything, he's our tech guy. When we have problems and we don't know what the hell's going on, we always reach out to Jamie, because he's an IT guru. All right, the guy knows his stuff. And you know, so I mean, I'm an IT guy as well, but when I have a problem, I defer to Jamie. That's why we appreciate him so much. So, Jamie, any last words you want to say?
Correction, I am no guru. A guru knows everything, and I do not know everything. But, you know, I don't know. I don't really have anything left to say. I think, you know, I think I've covered it all. I'm excited to get on with April Marie Tucker. If you guys don't know who that is, you need to go look her up, because she's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I'm super excited about it. So we will definitely watch out for our emails, subscribe to our list, get hold of us, and we will keep you updated as the time goes on. So put that in your calendar, right? April Marie Tucker on the 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're really looking forward to that. And just so you know, she created the whole Instagram training. So when that actually happens, we will definitely have that up, so that you can go ahead and buy her courses, because she is just so full of value, and I'm so excited. I feel like I'm buying something new. Anyway, so with that being said, we're going to say goodbye. We will see you same time next week, and God willing, we will have our special guest Olivia with us next week. I hope she's okay. But you know, these things happen. You know, maybe, you know, things just arrive, and you know, things just take a turn, and we adjust to it, and that's why we love what we do. So also, Olivia, if you're watching and you missed this, something came up, don't feel bad about it. It's just one of those things. You have an amazing day, guys. We'll see you same time next week. Cheers.